Have you ever paused in the midst of a crowded room, feeling more isolated than if you were truly alone? What if that quiet space we call solitude is not a burden, but the ultimate gateway to freedom, drawing from the timeless wisdom of Stoic thinkers like Marcus Aurelius and the sharp realism of Machiavelli? This exploration reveals how independence transforms solitude into a fortress of strength. Society pushes us toward constant connection, whispering that reliance on others equals security. Yet, the Stoics teach us to master our inner world, unswayed by external chaos, while Machiavelli urges strategic self-reliance to navigate power's harsh truths. Imagine shedding the chains of dependency, emerging resilient and whole. In this journey, we'll uncover why embracing solitude isn't escape, it's empowerment. If the noise of the world leaves you yearning for clarity, join me. True freedom awaits in the silence. The chains of dependence, why we fear solitude. From the dawn of our lives, we are enveloped in a tapestry of relationships that promise security and purpose. Parents guide our first steps. Friends share our laughter. Society insists that these ties are the essence of a fulfilled existence. Yet, beneath this comforting weave lies a hidden truth. Dependence on others often forges chains that bind our freedom, making solitude seem like a terrifying abyss. In this section, we unravel these chains, drawing from Stoic philosophy and Machiavelli's keen observations to understand why we fear being alone. It's a journey into the heart of human vulnerability, where clarity replaces illusion, and independence begins to emerge as our true ally. Imagine a world where every connection comes with an invisible string. We seek out partnerships in career, romance, and community, convinced they shield us from life's uncertainties. But Epictetus, the Stoic sage born into slavery, challenged this notion profoundly. He divided existence into what we control, our judgments, désir, and actions, and what we do not, like the loyalty of others or the twists of fortune. When we depend on external bonds for our well-being, we surrender our power. A promotion feels triumphant only because it earns nods of approval from colleagues. A loving word from a partner becomes the measure of our worth. Lose these, and the ground shifts beneath us. Dependence isn't just reliance. It's a quiet erosion of self, turning us into reactors rather than creators of our destiny. Machiavelli, the Renaissance thinker who dissected power with surgical precision, saw dependence as a strategic flaw. In his writings, he portrayed rulers who leaned too heavily on allies as doomed to manipulation. A prince dependent on foreign armies invites invasion when alliances sour. Similarly, in our daily lives, we court disappointment by outsourcing our stability. Think of the friend who offers support during good times but fades when challenges arise, or the mentor whose guidance wanes once your success no longer reflects on them. Machiavelli didn't view this as malice, but as the raw mechanics of human ambition. People act in self-interest, and dependence exposes us to their shifting priorities. We fear solitude because it removes these buffers, leaving us face to face with our own capabilities or lack thereof. Without the constant echo of others' voices, doubts creep in. Am I enough? Can I navigate this world solo? This fear is amplified by cultural myths that paint solitude as pathological. Movies depict the loner as broken. Social media rewards endless networking with likes and follows. Even ancient tales warn of hermits lost to madness. We internalize these stories, equating isolation with failure. Yet, the Stoics offered a counter-narrative. Seneca, in his letters, described solitude as a sanctuary for the soul, a place to converse with oneself and build resilience. He urged retreating from the crowd's clamor to examine life's priorities, free from the distortions of groupthink. Marcus Aurelius, ruling an empire rife with intrigue, found strength in solitary meditations. He reminded himself that external dependencies are transient. His journal entries reveal a man who feared not loneliness, but the loss of inner equilibrium that dependence brings. Blending this with Machiavelli's pragmatism, we see dependence as a tactical error in the game of life. He advised cultivating self-sufficiency to avoid being ensnared by others' agendas. A leader must amass personal resources, knowledge, skills, resolve to stand firm. Apply this today. The entrepreneur who builds a network but neglects solo innovation risks collapse when partners depart. The individual who ties identity to a relationship shatters when it ends. Solitude frightens because it demands accountability. No one else to blame for inaction. No distractions from personal growth. Breaking these chains starts with awareness. Notice how dependence manifests. The unease during quiet evenings, the urge to fill silence with calls or scrolls, the hesitation to make decisions without input. Stoics recommend small acts of defiance. Spend an hour in reflection. Pursue a hobby alone. Question why you seek approval. Machiavelli would add strategy. Audit your ties for balance, ensuring they enhance rather than define you. As fear subsides, solitude reveals its gifts. Creativity flourishes in undisturbed thought. Decisions gain purity without external noise. In truth, the chains of dependence are self-forged, born from a misplaced quest for certainty in an uncertain world. By fearing solitude, we perpetuate our bondage, but embrace it. As Stoics and Machiavelli implore, and those chains dissolve, solitude becomes not a void, but a forge where independence is tempered into unbreakable strength. With this foundation, we step forward, ready to build our inner fortress. Stoic wisdom, solitude as the path to inner fortress. In the hush of an empty room, where the world's clamor fades to a whisper, lies a profound opportunity not for retreat, but for reconstruction. This is the essence of Stoic wisdom, solitude as the path to an inner fortress, a bastion of resilience built brick by brick through self-mastery. Far from the barren wasteland society depicts, solitude becomes a forge where the soul is tempered. Drawing on the teachings of ancient philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca, Machiavelli's strategic mind complements this by reminding us that true power starts within, unreliant on external alliances. Here, we explore how embracing solitude cultivates an unassailable core, transforming perceived weakness into enduring strength. At the heart of Stoic philosophy is the understanding that freedom resides not in the external world, but in the realm of the mind. Epictetus, once a slave who rose to philosophical heights, emphasized the dichotomy of control. We command our perceptions, intentions, and responses. Everything else, wealth, relationships, even health, lies beyond our grasp. Solitude amplifies this lesson. Removed from the distractions of daily interactions, We confront our thoughts without filters, no longer buffered by conversations or approvals. We must reckon with inner dialogues. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who penned his Meditations amid battles and betrayals, turned to solitude as a daily ritual. He wrote of retreating inward to align with virtue, reason, and nature, unaffected by the empire's turmoil. In these quiet moments, he built his inner fortress, a mental stronghold where external chaos could batter the walls but never breach the core. This fortress is not built overnight. It requires deliberate practice. The Stoics viewed solitude as a training ground for equanimity. Seneca, in his essays, advised seeking solitude to examine one's life, free from the corrupting influence of crowds. He likened the mind to a garden, left unattended amid social weeds. It overgrows with vices, tended in isolation. It yields clarity and growth. Imagine sitting alone at dawn, journaling as Aurelius did, questioning your fears and desires. What emerges is not loneliness, but liberation, a shedding of dependencies that once clouded judgment. Machiavelli aligns here, though his lens is more tactical. He counseled princes to cultivate personal virtues and knowledge, ensuring independence from fickle supporters. Solitude, in his view, hones the sharp edge of discernment, allowing one to anticipate moves without the noise of counsel that might mislead. Why does this path matter in our modern frenzy? Today, digital connections bombard us, creating an illusion of constant companionship that erodes true self-reliance. Notifications pull us outward, fragmenting focus and fostering anxiety when silenced. Yet, Stoic wisdom offers an antidote. By intentionally carving out solitary time, perhaps a walk in nature without a phone or an evening of reflection, we rebuild our mental architecture. Epictetus would urge us to use this space to practice indifference to what we cannot control. Lost a job? In Solitude, reframe it, not as catastrophe, but as a test of character. Facing criticism, withdraw to assess its validity through reason, not emotion. This builds resilience, turning solitude into a refuge where problems are dissected and solutions forged. Machiavelli's influence adds a layer of strategy to this Stoic foundation. He knew that independence demands vigilance. Solitude is where we map our personal terrain, identifying strengths and vulnerabilities. A leader, isolated in thought, can devise plans untainted by bias, much like a chess master contemplating moves in silence. Blend this with Stoic endurance, and you create a hybrid power, the ability to stand firm alone, yet engage the world wisely when needed. Solitude ceases to be passive. It becomes active preparation, equipping you to navigate alliances without becoming ensnared. The rewards are transformative. As your inner fortress solidifies, fear of solitude dissolves. You discover joy in your own company, creativity in unbroken thought, and peace in self-sufficiency. No longer do you crave external validation. Your worth is internally verified. The Stoics promised this leads to eudaimonia, a flourishing life aligned with virtue. Machiavelli would see it as pragmatic supremacy. The independent individual commands respect, unbound by obligations. In walking this path, remember, solitude is not about permanent withdrawal, but balanced renewal. It's the Stoics' secret weapon, fortified by Machiavellian insight, turning isolation into invincibility. With this wisdom, we advance to how independence manifests as ultimate power. Machiavelli's strategy: independence as ultimate power. In the shadows of Renaissance courts, where ambition clashed with treachery, Niccolo Machiavelli crafted a blueprint for power that still echoes through time. His strategy was not born of cruelty, but of unflinching realism. Independence is the cornerstone of ultimate power. Far from the cold manipulator of legend, Machiavelli taught that true sovereignty arises from self-reliance, freeing one from the snares of dependency. When fused with Stoic principles of inner control, this independence becomes an unyielding force, turning solitude into a throne rather than an exile. In this section, we dissect Machiavelli's strategic wisdom, revealing how cultivating independence elevates you above the fray. Commanding life on your own terms. Machiavelli's masterpiece, The Prince, lays bare the perils of reliance. He observed rulers who outsourced their strength to mercenaries or fickle allies, only to face ruin when loyalties evaporated. Independence, he argued, is the antidote, a deliberate cultivation of personal resources that insulates against betrayal. A prince must master his own domain, building armies loyal through shared purpose, not gold. Translate this to everyday existence. The professional who depends on a single mentor risks stagnation if that guide departs. The artist who chases trends loses authenticity. Machiavelli urged vigilance. Assess every alliance for hidden costs, ensuring they serve your autonomy rather than erode it. Power, in his view, is not domination over others, but mastery over oneself, achieved in the quiet forge of independent thought. The Stoics amplify this with their emphasis on virtue as the sole good. Epictetus proclaimed that no one can harm you without your consent, for true power lies in how you interpret events. Blend this with Machiavelli's tactics, and independence emerges as a hybrid strategy. Stoic resilience provides the shield, Machiavellian foresight, the sword. Solitude becomes the training arena where you hone both. Away from the court's intrigues or today's digital echo chambers, you simulate scenarios, weighing risks without external bias. Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic emperor navigating political minefields, embodied this. He retreated into reflection to align decisions with reason, not flattery, mirroring Machiavelli's call for rulers to appear virtuous while acting pragmatically. Why does independence equate to ultimate power? Because it liberates you from fear. Dependent souls tremble at change. A market shift, a relationship's end, a friend's silence. The independent mind anticipates, adapts, thrives. Machiavelli illustrated this with the fox and the lion. Be cunning like the fox to evade traps, strong like the lion to confront threats. In Solitude, you embody both. Crafting strategies unclouded by others' agendas, considère un moderne entrepreneur. Rather than begging investors, she bootstraps her venture, learning every facet. Her power stems not from capital, but from irreplaceable knowledge and adaptability. Stoics like Seneca reinforce this by advocating voluntary simplicity. Strip away luxuries in solitude to build endurance, ensuring you're unbreakable when fortunes turn. Practically, how do you claim this power? Start with Machiavellian inventory. List your dependencies: financial, emotional, professional, and devise exits. Diversify skills. As he advised, diversifying alliances. Then, infuse Stoic discipline. Dedicate solitary hours to meditation or planning, questioning motives like a prince scouting enemies. Epictetus would say, role-play adversities. Imagínelos. Then respond with composure. This builds mental agility, turning potential crises into opportunities. In relationships, apply selective independence. Engage without entanglement, offering value while preserving your core. Machiavelli warned against blind trust. Test loyalties subtly, withdrawing to observe reactions. The beauty of this approach lies in its empowerment. Independence doesn't isolate, it elevates. You enter interactions as an equal, not a supplicant, commanding respect through quiet confidence. Stoics promised tranquility. Machiavelli delivered dominance. Together, they forge a life where solitude is strategy, not suffering. No longer do you chase approval, you dictate terms. Power becomes internal, inexhaustible, like a wellspring in a desert. As we embrace this, remember, independence is active, not passive. It's the Stoics' daily practice, merged with the strategist's cunning, yielding a freedom that outlasts empires. With this arsenal, solitude transforms into your greatest asset, propelling you towards mastery. Now, we turn to practical steps for weaving this wisdom into modern life. Embracing solitude, practical mastery for modern life. In our fast-paced digital age, where notifications buzz like incessant flies and social feeds demand constant attention, embracing solitude feels like a rebellious act. Yet, this is precisely where practical mastery begins. The art of turning theoretical wisdom into everyday reality. Drawing from Stoic discipline and Machiavelli's calculated approach, solitude evolves from a distant ideal into a toolkit for navigating modern chaos. It's not about vanishing from the world, but reclaiming your space within it, fostering independence that withstands the pressures of work, relationships, and endless connectivity. Here, we outline actionable steps to integrate solitude into your life, building resilience and strategic power, one quiet moment at a time. Start by redefining solitude in your routine. The Stoics viewed it as essential maintenance for the mind, much like exercise for the body. Begin small to avoid overwhelm. Set aside 15 minutes each morning for uninterrupted reflection. No phones, no emails, just you and a notebook. Marcus Aurelius journaled his thoughts to center himself before facing the day's demands. Emulate this by jotting down 3 things you control today. Echoing Epictetus's dichotomy, this practice shifts your focus inward, reducing the mental clutter that dependence breeds. In a world of back-to-back meetings and group chats, this carve-out asserts your independence, reminding you that your agenda comes first. Machiavelli's strategy adds a layer of intention here. Treat solitude as a planning session. Assess your personal landscape like a prince surveying his territory. Review your goals weekly in isolation. What dependencies linger in your career or friendships? Identify one, perhaps over-relying on a colleague for ideas, and devise a solo alternative. Like self-study through books or online resources, this mirrors his advice to build internal strengths, ensuring you're not vulnerable if alliances falter. Modern application. Use apps sparingly. Instead, walk alone without podcasts. Letting your mind wander, Ideas often spark in this void, fostering creativity that group brainstorming might stifle. Next, address the social dimension. Society equates busyness with value, but Stoics like Seneca warned against dispersing energy in superficial ties. Practice selective engagement. Decline one unnecessary invitation per week, using the freed time for solitary pursuits. Read philosophy, meditate, or simply sit with your thoughts. This isn't antisocial, it's protective. Machiavelli would approve, as it prevents entanglements that dilute your power. In relationships, apply boundaries. Communicate your need for alone time without apology. Frame it as self-care that enhances your presence when together. Over time, this builds mutual respect, weeding out connections based on convenience. Physical solitude amplifies mental gains. The Stoics embraced voluntary discomfort to toughen the spirit. Try a solo hike or an unplugged weekend retreat. Without distractions, confront discomfort head-on, as Epictetus did in envisioning hardships to prepare for them. Machiavelli's realism shines in viewing this as reconnaissance. Observe your reactions, note weaknesses, and strategize improvements. In urban life, simulate this with a quiet park bench or a home corner dedicated to reflection. Track progress. After a month, assess how solitude has sharpened your decision-making, perhaps leading to bolder career moves or calmer responses to stress. Technology poses a modern hurdle, but mastery lies in taming it. Stoics preached moderation. Set device-free zones or times, treating screens as tools, not companions. Machiavelli might liken unchecked scrolling to courting unreliable spies, full of noise, low on substance. Replace aimless browsing with purposeful solitude. Learn a skill alone, like cooking or coding, building self-sufficiency. When loneliness creeps in, reframe it. Stoically, it's not absence, but presence with yourself. Journal doubts, dissecting them rationally to reveal their transience. The payoff: a life of quiet command. Independence becomes second nature, allowing you to engage the world without needing it. Challenges, job, uncertainty, relational strains lose their sting, met with Stoic calm and Machiavellian foresight. You attract deeper connections, drawn to your self-assured aura, while superficial ones fade naturally. This practical embrace of solitude isn't isolation, it's elevation, turning modern life's frenzy into a canvas for your design. As you implement these steps, remember, mastery unfolds gradually. Start today and watch solitude bloom into freedom. With this foundation, we conclude our exploration, reflecting on the profound liberation it brings. As we draw this exploration to a close, remember, solitude is not a shadow to flee, but the light of true freedom. Through Stoic resilience and Machiavelli's shrewd independence, we've seen how shedding dependencies unlocks a life of sovereign strength. No longer chained to others' whims, you stand as your own fortress, navigating the world with clarity and command. Embrace the quiet. Let it forge your unbreakable spirit. If this journey awakened something within, subscribe for more insights into timeless wisdom. Share in the comments. How will you claim your solitude today? Walk boldly into independence, and may your inner peace reign eternal. Until next time,